Adriana, alcohol has affected you since utero. What has your mother relayed to you about that time when she was pregnant with you?
Oh, great question, because 13 months ago I had my son. And whilst I was pregnant, I actually went and did my birth stories with a lady that reads your birth stories. And I actually had to chat to my mum about this. And it brought up a lot. Firstly, because I have such a complicated relationship with my mum. Mm-hmm. And she told me that the actual birth was super, super easy. And they say when they talk about your birth story, they talk about how what happened in your birth relates to how you sort of do things in life. So that was my actual birth story. But when we actually talk about what happened in utero, my mum and my father were in a very toxic relationship. So alcohol was prevalent right from the get-go, even before. So whilst in utero, my mum was beaten by my father. And I think 6 months afterwards, whilst I was really, really small, she was beaten as well and essentially had to flee. Mm. So all I've ever known is alcohol, right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. What was having that conversation like, especially when you have a complicated relationship with your mother? How do you even broach the topic?
You know what? It brought us so much closer because, like I said, it's been really, really complicated with my mum, and I've tried so many different ways to be able to connect with her. And when she told me these stories about my father, and their stories, right? So this is these are the stories that I'm retelling. Are they true? I don't know. Mm-hmm. And this is where, the relationship gets complicated with my mum because does she remember properly because of all the abuse that she's gone through, all the trauma that she's gone through? So it peeled off a layer with me and my mum of being able to get closer.
Mm. Also with you being pregnant with your son and having him and thinking about your mum during that time when you were at your most vulnerable, thinking of how she would have had to flee with a 6-month-old, I could imagine you feeling this extreme empathy, which you probably haven't felt towards her, and like you said, a much more deeper understanding of why she did the things she did. What do you remember from your childhood, let's say up until about 12 or 13?
I remember there being a happy house and a sad house. So up until I was 8, my mum met my stepdad when I was 2, so we moved in with him. And I just remember it being happy. I remember driving past it later on in life and sitting outside of it and crying because I was like, oh my gosh, it was just so happy. There was so many happy memories. All the photos were just so happy, me, my brother. And then we moved into this new house and all I remember is just so much sadness. That's when I found out that my father was actually my stepfather.
And Wait. Your father was actually explain that to me.
So up until I was 8, I believed that my stepfather was, my real dad. I called him Dad.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
I called him Dad. And that was like, I'm going to say the beginning of the end. Like it was just, everything just went downhill from there. Everything just seemed like it was crumbling. I'm sure they told me in the best way possible. I actually approached them. I said to them, I figured it out. He wasn't in my baby photos. Just something didn't click. And I remember clearly going into their bedroom and saying, "You're not my real dad, are you?" And it all went blank after that. And I'm sure they were really loving and supportive and telling me that, this doesn't change anything. But because of their rocky relationship, it started to crumble. Mm-hmm. Like my mum and it was almost like a marriage of convenience. They had 2 more children. So they're my half brother and sister. And it's almost like my mum used me as a pawn at that stage, So she was pushing me away from my father. up until, later on, always telling me things like, he's never going to look after you. I'm the one that's going to look after you. He's never going to leave you anything. It's you and me, babe, kind of thing. And me and my mum were really, really close at that point. So it was really, really toxic.
Did it feel like in that moment when you received the news, even though if you didn't remember or not, that you think, who the fuck am I? This loss of identity, that's like 50% of you.
Yeah.
And how does that loss of identity shape you for your teenage years?
Well, there's lots of abandonment issues going on there, and this loss of sense of belonging as well. Like I really felt like a black sheep in that family now. It's very disconnected from my brother and sister. We never even spoke about it. Like it just kind of was like, I'm just the odd one out. And we still played happy families with both sides of the family, no one ever talking about it. So when it got into into later years in teenage life, like I was definitely heavily seeking my tribe, my people, and where and how I was going to fit in with everyone.
What was your personality like during this time? Take away the trauma, take away the loss of identity. Who were you at your core?
I was a beam of light. Vivacious comes to mind. I was so colourful. I wanted to be seen. I was loud, vibrant, and just this character. Yeah.
Can I say, Adriana, that is still you today. You are so vivacious is the perfect way to describe you. I feel very grateful that you're in my presence today. Let's talk about the first time you drank or tried drugs. When was that?
So from memory, I believe it was around 12. I believe I was by myself. So what I do remember is Dad always having a stack of VBs in the laundry. And I don't understand how we didn't realise that I took them as well, because I took them out of a fresh packet as well. Yeah. I don't know how I replaced them or anything like that. It's just bizarre. But I remember, my first memories of drinking the alcohol, and I can't remember whether smoking came first or the drinking of alcohol, but I know that I was doing it by myself, which just sounds crazy.
Was it a curiosity thing or an escapism thing at that age?
It was curiosity.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Because I think I was just having one, so I don't think it was hitting the sides at that point. Later on, definitely, it was an escapism.
Let's talk about high school, Adriana. What was that like for you?
Difficult. Found it so hard to fit in. I was always trying to be cool and trying to fit in. There was always the cool group. I was never part of the cool group. I went to 2 different high schools, and the first high school wasn't, it's definitely where we started to party and drink and hang out with boys and everything. So, yeah, definitely alcohol, every weekend, there was an opportunity to get drunk, but I managed to hide that one pretty well from my parents. It was the next high school that I think where everything just really started getting really scratchy.
What does that look like?
Well, when I first started the second high school, a rumour went around about me, and people somehow thought that I was somehow there was word that got around that people thought that I was on drugs and I slept around. At this point, I had never taken drugs. At this point, I'd never taken drugs and I hadn't even kissed a boy. So I was like,
and you're starting a brand new school.
Yeah. And I find out later on that, it's a girl from my old school that knows someone from the new school, and that's hard. I remember getting surrounded by a group of girls and them all just, pouncing on me and telling me, we've heard this about you. And I got a scholarship to this school, and I remember coming home with my dad going I don't want to go. Please don't make me go to this school. It was so hard.
Was there a sense of, and I've heard this a lot with people who went through similar things in high school, where they almost start playing that character. It's almost like, okay, well, if you think I'm this big druggy slut, whatever you want to call me, maybe I'll just lean into it because fuck it, I'm not going to change your mind.
No, I think I was too scared
You were
still.
just-
I still just wanted to fit in. I remember just hanging out with the nerds and just being like, oh my God, is this it? Like, is this what it's going to be like here for the next 4 years? I was like, oh my gosh, no.
So you leave high school, and is that how you sort of just live your life through those days? You just kind of do anything to kind of be in the background, go like unnoticed?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like there's two sides of me. There's somebody that really wants to get out there and be seen, but then also live this life where I didn't want anyone knowing what was really going on inside for me. And I mean, the drug taking really started happening in year 11, I think. That's when it really, and that's where a lot of my memory fades.
Yeah.
But that's where, I started playing that character.
What drugs were you taking?
I started smoking marijuana. I remember having a joint, and then that just escalated. Yeah, that escalated to smoking bongs every day. And then I remember getting speed in points. Like, not bags. We should just get points.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then it turned into pills after that. And I couldn't actually handle that many drugs. Like there was a lot of drug taking over days, but not the amount. Like my body actually physically couldn't take I remember having a quarter of a pill or half a pill and rocking up to these rave parties at the Docklands, and used to walk up to these raves and you could just hear the music going woof, 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 and my whole body would I'd have to go vomit.
Oh, wow.
Like I would vomit after a quarter of a pill and then go in, vomit, and then I'd be right for the rest of the night. And then I could start taking again.
Isn't it funny when we're younger, like those little indications of our body being so physically sick, and we're like, I can keep going. It's like, oh, that wasn't enough to stop us. Because I was the same. It was like, oh, just go for a tachyak quickly and then we can take another 2. We can double drop. Like our poor little bodies.
Yeah, totally.
So Adriana finishes high school. Where do we go to from there?
Well, I guess I think my first rock bottom was in high school in year 11, where I just went too hard, too fast. And so this is halfway through year 11, and then we go into year 12, and I just remember being so skinny. So I'm probably like 72 kilos now. I went down to I was down to 50. I remember this is the reason, why I got into drugs so much was because my parents got divorced. And there was a really big separation with me and my stepfather, but I remember being so, I was physically ill. It was January. I was about to start year 12. I was so scared that I was going to be so behind. Mum was just erratic. She was drinking heavily as well. And so it was a really unstable household. So I actually remember going to my stepfather and saying to him, I just said to him, I need help. And he dropped everything, which I was kind of surprised at as well, because, I felt like he didn't really want me in his life. But he dropped everything. He got me the best help, the best care, etc. And I was able to go to the boarding house at that school and actually finish year 12, which was, in the end, I can't believe I actually survived. I was close to death, I would say.
Were there not, and this isn't supposed to come from a judgy place for your parents, were there not any red flags leading up to that? Or were they just so in their own grief of the relationship breaking down and drinking every day that they just didn't pay attention?
Yeah, well, I think my dad just shut off from me. My mum was just in her own world. And when Dad asked me, he's like, well, have you been going to school? What's going on? I went to a prestigious private school that they were paying for, and he started getting really angry. And it's funny you should ask that, because he went to the principal and was like, what's going on here? And I think that's that's how I got the ticket to in the boarding school, because they realized they'd really fucked up. Because they were like, hang on, how did we miss? Because I remember I'd wake up from school, I mean, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go to school, I'd check in, and then I'd just get on the bus and go home. And I'd just say to my mum, oh, it's the day off. Oh, we get to study we get to study. And my mum believed it every single time. And I'm like, how did I get away with that? And when I told my dad, he was just like, yeah, well, I get it. Because my mum was just always off with the fairies.
Yeah. Well, you just said there, and I was surprised that my dad helped me. Did it come as a shock to you at that age because your mum had always planted the seed that it was just you and her versus the world, where the story you're telling me, it actually feels like he was watching over you more than her?
Yeah, you're right. It was. But I didn't see it like that because my mum was also, even though I talk not great about her, she was also the fun one. She was also, when you're at that age,
You just want the fun one.
you just want the fun one and you want to be able to do whatever you want. She allowed us to do whatever we wanted.
Isn't it funny, like in hindsight, to me, the biggest indication of love is discipline. Like I actually respect the more disciplinary parent than the one that let me get away with everything. So we finish high school. Did you have, I mean, obviously you were showing signs of mental illness already. Were you diagnosed during those years? I can't imagine, because you're about 10 years older than I am. Even when I was in high school, mental illness did not exist. How did people sort of approach that topic with you? Was it swept under the rug of your mental health?
I was seeing a really good GP at the time. Well, at the time I thought that they were a really good GP because, and they saw mental illness straight away. And so I was put onto a psychiatrist and I was seeing a psychiatrist by the age of 16 and I was medicated from there on.
Did that help you?
I just remember being numb. Yeah, I remember just feeling really numb from the medication and I don't think I was on there for too long. It just didn't, it just wasn't sitting right. She was a much older lady and, yeah, I don't think I lasted too long on the pills.
So you finish year 12, you've got mental illness, you're so surprised that you actually finished high school. What did you actually dream to grow up to be? Or were you just like, if I live another day, I'm all good?
Psychologist. I wanted to help other people that were in my position. You know, I got into university, surprised very much, but it didn't take long for me to get real, like, because there's no structure there. There's no one ticking off your name like you're in high school. And I thought, this is cool. And so it started going downhill real easily after about 6 to 12 months. Started smoking bongs again in the car. And, my uni life did not last very, very long at all. And and I just felt like, it just became a party scene again.
Yeah.
That's it.
Adriana, what do you consider to be your darkest day or the darkest period of your life?
I feel like there was just like so many of them. So when I was 21, I met my real father for the first time. So he contacted me around, just before my 21st birthday, and he was really, really sick. And he had cancer, and he had already had cancer for 6 months. And so I think it was just probably one of the things that he wanted to tick off before he passed away. So, and I refused in the beginning. I was like, no, and I was heavily partying at this stage as well. And then he sent me some roses for my 21st birthday, and I was like, right, let's do it. And for the next 6 months, I was traveling back and forth to Sydney because that's where he was living. And him passing was a real, just so sad. Like, it was just so sad. It was just like I felt like a really big part of me had just left. And I just felt like I was not able to, I wasn't able to share those moments, just life moments with your dad. And he was just, it's like he was there and then he just kind of left.
Did you get to have any conversation before he passed about the years that you guys missed together?
Yeah, I remember him asking me, you know, is there anything that you want to ask me? Is there anything that you want to know? And at that point, I just said no. I just thought I didn't want to bring up all these, like I felt like I'd let them go to, like, yeah, I felt like I could let them go. I just didn't want, he was just so sick.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like it was the time to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like the perfect recipe to start partying like a maniac. What do the next few years entail?
Oh, it's such a blur.
Yeah, I know,
It's
right?
such a blur. Like, you know, we're talking almost 30 years of on and off drinking. And so when in my 20s, I got right into the nightclub scene. I was a door bitch. So you'd work and then you'd go party. And I'd have like 3 jobs. So it was just like, I think back now and I'm like, how did I do it all? But it was just all fueled with drugs and alcohol, on and off. And no one's kind of seemed to pick up on it, which I just thought was really bizarre as well. Like it was such erratic behavior, but I guess everyone around me was doing it as well in terms of friends.
I felt like I hit this point because you went sober at 35.
I did.
Yeah, I went sober about 29, 30. But it felt like one day I woke up when I was between 27 and 29 and it felt like I was the last person that was drinking that heavily. I don't know what happened. I actually remember it so clearly. I woke up and it was like all my grown-up friends, which were just my age, but had their shit together. They were out at brunch and I had my head in the toilet once again at some random's house after a bender. Was there a point for you in your late 20s or your early 30s where you thought, this isn't cute anymore?
Well, I feel like I was just one of those, I was a bit of a nomad. I traveled a lot and it's almost like I moved from group to group.
So
like
you never had that real, yeah.
You know, like, you know, there was the group from school and then they all kind of moved on and did something with their lives. So I was like, oh, well then we don't have anything similar anymore. So we'll move on to the next, you know, to the group that are still partying. So I kind of just kept finding the people that were still partying. All my friends from school, they, you know, get the job and then they're married, then they have the kids and I'm the one still, you know, traveling the world and partying my ass off. So I can't, and it felt like it just kept getting more lonely and lonely as the years went by. And towards, you know, in my early 30s, I started, you know, getting these really amazing consulting gigs where I used to get flown around the world and help, you know, set up these gyms all around the world. But I was just such a lone wolf. I could go do my work and then I'd go back to the hotel and I'd just drink. And it really became like, yes, there was this party girl era, but then during the week I was by myself. I didn't get my, you know, I didn't have a long-term partner until I met my partner that I'm with now. So no one really knew what was going on, you know, and it was years of that later where I started going, hang on a second, we can't continue doing this. This is actually really sad. But once you've been doing it for so long, this lonely behavior, like drinking at night by yourself, like, and no one knew. No one knew. No one thought that this type of behavior, yes, they saw me on the weekends. Yes, I'd go out with the friends and everything and still do all that kind of behavior, but no one saw what was happening during the week.
And you've designed that prison for yourself, right? You keep everyone at arm's length and you put on this mask of who you want them to think you are. We were talking about this in the car park before we started, and it's funny that I mentioned it and now you've brought it up, is I didn't realise, I feel like I've been lonely all my life until I went sober. And not saying when I got sober, all these people rocked up in my bedroom and I had all these friends, but hindsight, I have been terribly lonely my entire life when I was drinking. Tell me about the day, the exact moment where you thought, that's enough.
It took a few weeks to get there. Like most stories, you're sitting at home on a Sunday drinking your fourth or fifth wine, and you say to yourself, tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow I'm going to stop drinking. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but, it probably was about 4 or 5 Mondays where I just continued drinking and, go back on the bandwagon. But then I was like, how am I actually going to do it this time though? And I looked into AA, and at the time I was living in the area that I grew up, and I found the AA places. And I was so shit scared about going because my mum went to these AA places. This is what she would do every single week. I knew exactly, like they were on Google Maps showed me all the places, and I was like, yeah, I remembered her going. I remember picking her up from that place. And I was so terrified of being recognised. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the daughter of the alcoholic going to this. And I remember it was going to be at 11 a.m. And either that Sunday night or Monday morning, I came across the Daybreak app. It's an article had, spoken about it. And I was like, oh, let's just see what this is all about. Complete game changer. This is what completely turned everything around. I hands down, if I hadn't have found that app, I reckon I would still be drinking today.
Okay, this can help a lot of people. Also not sponsored. That sounds very like a perfect ad placement. So you log the days you've been sober, I'm assuming?
No. So it's like a social app.
Okay.
It's alcohol. Okay, think Alcohol Anonymous cross Facebook kind of thing with a feed. So you plug in, you put in your details, but you're completely anonymous. And there's just this feed. I'm sure there's like all these extra features to it now, but all I remember there was just this feed, and everyone could just post. So, and what you started seeing is that everyone would post what day they were on. So, for example, it was my first day. So I'd say day 1, and you'd just talk about your day, or you'd ask questions or anything. So you would see people on there for like day 20, struggle straight, or day 500. Oh my gosh, I just, finally got to meet my, grandson or something and so all these beautiful stories. And so I just started posting, and and people would ask questions on there as well. Like, I'm about to go out for the first time where I know there's going to be alcohol. Like, what do I do? Yeah. And so all these people would jump on, and you could sort of reply and everything. And I just remember being, say, day 11 or 12 and watching somebody write that they were like day 1,000. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I wonder if I'll ever get there. And I did. It was amazing. But I took off all other social media apps on my phone, and this is all that I ingested.
Mm. Did you feel like you could be your true self in there?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm. With sobriety, we're talking about a loss of identity, and I think that feels like the main theme of your story. With sobriety, have you worked on that? Sounds a bit too brief. Like, have you met yourself?
Oh, I think you just keep meeting yourself every single day, like you just at every different milestone or event that happens, like, having a child, being in relationship, like you just keep cracking yourself open and meeting who is in there, and you're like, whoa, all right, cool. Let's work with this one.
It feels so foreign, especially I'm quite in early sobriety, considering how fast you evolve in sobriety, considering how stagnant I was for 15 years of my life. I think I probably moved up one level in my life and then probably went back down again. By level, I just mean like evolving as a human. It feels like I am not the same person I was 6 months ago. I just keep swapping and changing, and that excites me so much. Why is it important for you to not repeat the same cycle as your mum for your child now?
Like that question is just even so foreign. Like, it's just not even a no-brainer. Like, I was actually talking about this with my partner last night. He's like, do you even think of drinking? Like, it's just like a hard no, because there is just no good that comes out of it. That's just as simple as it is. You know, I know people know that it's not good for you, but I've just planted this seed in my head. It's poison. It's not only physically poisoning, but it's emotionally, spiritually. Like there is no good that can come out of alcohol. Like it just doesn't resonate with me at all.
This will probably be my final question. I've loved this chat. Vivacious is a perfect word to describe you. I always love asking parents this who have come from alcoholic backgrounds because I get so many different answers. What is the communication going to be like to your child or future children about alcohol and substances?
Oh, it's such a hard question. I don't have the answer. You know, he's 13 months and, you know, I think my partner's kind of joked about it a little bit, like, you know, oh, when he has his first beer or something. And I'm like, no, I can't even, I don't want to even imagine it. But I feel like it's just communication. Like he's going to see it and everything. So you just got to talk about it and early on, I think. But yeah, I haven't. I think he's too early to be thinking about it.
Yeah, totally fine. Adriana, thank you so much for coming on Soberly Speaking.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, honey.